We're very pleased with the results. I mean, obviously business is made up of lots of events in every business in every year. So in this particular year, you're right, we did see a devaluation of the rand against some of the currencies in which we operate. So that's helped improve the performance of the subsidiary companies. So we're pleased about that. And we also saw in South Africa some growth. In fact, the market in certain of the businesses in which we've operated in South Africa have been quite good, and we've managed to get double-digit growth in many of those activities as well. I mean, the poor, I don't want to say poor, the more difficult areas we found were Europe. Right. We didn't do particularly well in Holland, and that was a bit of a disappointment. Yeah. But the Asia-Pacific bloc has performed well, and I think that we will see in time to come that area will still continue to grow, especially mainland China, where we're starting to get some foothold and starting to get some economy of scale in that area.
Yeah, but I suppose Europe is no surprise given the fact that we know what they are struggling with, but people still have to eat anyway. So was that more effect of the market conditions, or perhaps more effect of your businesses there?
Look, I think there's no doubt that the market conditions are tough, but certainly even with that, I would have liked to have seen us do better. I mean, if you have a look at the UK where things are tough, I mean, we did particularly well. Even in Belgium, where economic conditions are tough as well, I think there as well we did nicely. But, as I said, it is a difficult environment, and not only do you have the normal things that you have to deal with in Europe, but from a South Africa point of view, we're also dealing with a lot of volatility in the currency, which makes it quite difficult to operate.
Yeah. Now, when you look at the divisional performances, I mean, it does look like this is growth that is well diversified. But let's just talk perhaps geographically. Let's pick the winners here. Asia Pacific certainly seems to be doing the job here.
Yeah, I think so. But I think for me, the best zone for us in this particular year was South Africa. I think Asia, if you have a look in home currency in the Asia Pacific zone, we had some growth, but didn't have a huge amount of growth. But in South Africa, I think in most instances we had more than satisfactory results.
Yeah, you speak of perhaps pressure at the construction and consumer markets. Just take us through there. What's going on there?
Well, I think construction and the manufacturing sector of South Africa is still under some pressure. So we have some exposure to that. I think if you have a look at Bidvest Electrical, I think notwithstanding the difficult market in which they operated, I think they had a really commendable result. The industrial division on paper doesn't look so good, but a lot of hard work was done in that particular area. It's like many things that were sort of like cleaned up out of the reorganization landed up in that division, and I think the management there has done particularly well in putting themselves in a position that we can grow from.
Yeah. So let's talk about where that growth is going to come from in the coming years then. Where do you see that happening? Because I see you made your first toehold into South America.
Well, I think there are two areas. I think, in order to be able to grow a company, you have to grow organically first. I don't think you can just grow a company just purely by acquisition. Sure. So I think that the markets in which we are tied into, the education services, support services type activities, even the motor business, I think we'll do well. I think we'll see some turnaround in construction in the year ahead. And so I'm optimistic about the performance in South Africa over the next year. I think Europe still remains some kind of a question mark, and I think that management have got some plans to gain growth, notwithstanding the outlook for the European zone. Yeah. And Asia Pacific, as I mentioned, I think that area will grow. I'm now talking in home currency, and I think that we will see. Singapore, I don't think we had a particularly good year this year, and I think we'll see some improvement there, and I think we'll start to get certainly some additional foothold in mainland China.
Yeah. And in terms of that war chest, I mean, you speak of the organic growth, but surely Bidvest has been marked throughout the years by acquisitive growth. How much is that big war chest, and what are you looking at, and in what geographies?
Well, look, I mean, we've got war chests. So I've never ever feared the ability to raise money for a good acquisition. The problem is when you raise it for a bad one. So from our point of view, I mean, we're about 9 times odd interest cover currently. We certainly could go down to about 5. So in absolute terms, we're talking about 5, 6, 7 billion rands worth of firepower, I guess. If you just have a look at purely in borrowing capacity. But certainly Bidvest could do a significant acquisition.
Yeah, and in Europe, what do you do? Do you bed down, or do you look at opportunities and say this market will turn around one day, and now is the time to be looking out to be picking up the weak businesses?
Yeah, well, certainly from our point of view, we're looking to invest in Western Europe. Over the medium term, no doubt that Europe will still be a force. We obviously like Eastern Europe, and we are making some acquisitions in the Baltics currently. And of course South America. South America does hold some promise for us. We have some exposure to the hospitality rights for the World Cup in 2014 in Brazil, and hopefully we'll be able to leverage that into some kind of an acquisition there.
Yeah, and in terms of the businesses, what specifically are you looking for? Is it across the board, or perhaps the preference is food, or is it industrial?
Well, up until now, we've basically expended all our effort in international activities in food service. We've changed that, and we are now looking to expand other activities. And I think that some of the primary areas that we would look at would be Australia and New Zealand, and obviously Western Europe still in relation to some other activities.
I guess this is a question that will be asked every year. Retirement, has it ever entered your mind now?
Well, when you say never entered my mind, sure it has. I'd be lying if I said to you, that I haven't thought about it. Sure. I certainly have committed to the company that I will be around for another 3 years. So as long as health is good and I'm enjoying myself, I'll be here.
Yeah, another 3 years from now, or another 3 years from last year? When was that commitment?
Well, I don't know the exact date, but it's give or take 3 years from now.